Hi, I'm Katrina, and this is Homegrown Florida. Today we're going to be talking about how to water bath can dill relish from all of those cucumbers that I grew in my garden. This summer I grew a Sweet Success hybrid cucumber. It is an English burpless variety that doesn't require pollination. I planted way too many plants and ended up with an enormous amount of cucumbers, so I had to figure out what to do with them. I had started them super early, so they actually produced much longer in the season than I expected. Before I jump into the canning process, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. Start with 2.5 pounds of whole cucumbers. You can really use any kind of cucumber in this recipe, such as your English, pickling, or slicing varieties. All work really well, even oversized cucumbers like mine. I partially peel mine to leave some of the skin on for color and texture. Then you're going to want to cut lengthwise and scoop out the seeds. Now you are going to want to dice up the cucumbers. You can cut them into a small or medium-sized dice depending on your preference for your relish. I discourage using something like a food processor or a mechanical chopper, as it will squish the fruit rather than getting that nice clean dice that will hold up well after canning. Now you're going to want to add the cucumbers to a bowl and include 1/4 cup salt. Once the salt is added, fill with water until the cucumbers are completely covered. You're going to want to soak your cucumbers for 3 to 6 hours. You can use a traditional water bath canner or something like this rubber base meant for canning in a regular pot. I then place my clean jars in the pot to sanitize for 10 minutes. While they simmer in another pot, start the brine. Start with 3 cups white distilled vinegar. Then you're going to want to add 1/2 cup sugar. Now is the time you can add all the herbs and spices you prefer. You can really go nuts with the type of spices you want to add. I've added about 1 tablespoon of mustard seed from my overabundance of mustard seeds that I grew, and then 2 tablespoons dill that I also grew last season and dried for future canning projects. Now I'm going to mince up 3 cloves of garlic and 1 large diced onion. There is no need to add salt, as the diced cucumbers will still have some salt on them. Add the drained and rinsed cucumbers and let them come to a boil for 5 minutes. At this point, we're going to remove the sanitized jars from the water, pouring the water from the jars as you remove them. Ensure you get as much of the water out as possible. With a slotted spoon, fill the jars with the relish. Lightly pack the relish into the jars, but don't overdo it by compressing them too much, otherwise you might have siphoning or seal failures while processing. Now fill the jars to a 1/2 inch headspace with the remaining brine. Use a chopstick or a butter knife to remove any bubbles from the relish. You may need to add more liquid to reach the right headspace. Wipe the tops of your jars to ensure there's no debris present that might create a gap during sealing. Soften the seals of the jar by soaking them in warm water. I was being lazy, so I just dipped them in my boiling water before placing them on the jars. Screw the bands onto the jars fingertip tight. Fingertip tight means about a 1/2 turn beyond what you can do with a single hand. Bands should not be loose or super tight. Now your jars are ready for canning. Carefully place each jar in the boiling water. Make sure to turn up the heat on the stove until your boiling water is at a very rapid boil. You're going to want to boil your jars for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes have finished, carefully remove the jars from the water and place on a dish towel to cool for at least 12 hours. I still have a ton of cucumbers from the garden, so if you have some ideas of what I can do to preserve or use these cucumbers besides fresh eating, head down to the comments and leave me a note. If you want to know how I grew this crazy productive amount of cucumbers, head over to this video, which is my cucumber growing from seed.